Hello and welcome to another episode of the Michaela podcast, your chance to get the inside track on Britain's most exciting school. Today we're discussing how we use technology at Michaela with science teacher Cassie Cheng. Cassie grew up just round the corner from Michaela in Wembley and progressed from her local comprehensive to study biochemistry at UCL. She's in her second year at Michaela now and writes the brilliantly titled blog Cheng Reaction, which I'll post a link to in the description. In this podcast, we cover how teachers use WhatsApp, visualisers and online homework sites like Times Table Rockstars, iExcel and Hegarty Maths, but why you won't see an interactive whiteboard or a PowerPoint if you visit Michaela. There's a lot discussed here, and if you have any questions, please tweet me at tkendalluk. Otherwise, sit back, relax and enjoy. Hi Cassie.
Hello Tom.
Today we're talking about technology. What technology do you use in your day-to-day at Michaela?
So things like electronic registers, emails to communicate. Actually, what's quite unique that we use at Michaela is the whole staff WhatsApp.
Isn't that a bit annoying to have your sort of personal WhatsApp invaded by school life?
Not quite. I mean, at the beginning, it was quite overused. Staff were putting details on there that weren't relevant to the whole school, but now everyone knows that it's only for urgent and important notices that everyone does need to know, and that includes things like going to the pub at the end of every half term.
Excellent. So what other pieces of technology do you use? Is that it?
Well, my favourite one actually is using the visualisers. I love the visualizer. It's such a helpful tool.
So what is a visualizer?
Good point. A visualizer is like a webcam on a stick so that whatever you draw or write under it can be displayed on the board. And it's such a helpful tool. I know that every teacher at Michaela has one of these visualizers, and it is used in various different ways amongst the school. What's great is that I can use it without turning my back to the class like I would if I was writing on a whiteboard. And for me in science, I like to use it to write notes to help the pupils with their annotations, but also to display pupils' work and give them instant feedback so that the whole class can see what's great about a piece and what pupils can improve on. I found that when, for example, we do a comprehension task, I will pick out a pupil's book that I think is a really great answer. I'll put it under the visualizer and display to the class the great keywords that they've added in, or the presentation that they've done, or, for example, lines of best fit that have been really well drawn. And also, actually, in practicals, last week we did a heart dissection and we used the visualizer to just show the pupils where to make specific incisions, which if I had a whole class of 32 around me, they wouldn't be able to see. And it was a really great tool to just model exactly where I want the incisions to be, and so that they can see and perform the practical really accurately.
Well, as a maths teacher, being able to actually show kids how I want their calculations to look on a page of their exercise book is invaluable. So when you're projecting from the visualizer, is that going onto an interactive whiteboard?
No, actually. We have projectors, but not onto interactive whiteboards. They're just onto normal whiteboards. I remember when, in my previous school, the day when, by accident, I wrote using a whiteboard pen on my interactive whiteboard, and that I couldn't use it for so long. But also just calibrating it, just standing at the front, placing the pen on the dots before every lesson. But now I'm really happy I don't need to use it. And actually, what's great about Michaela is that we don't use technology for the sake of it. Every bit of technology has been thought through so that the pupils can gain the maximum learning time.
It must be crazy how many hours of teachers' time is wasted up and down the country calibrating interactive whiteboards. Is this similar to your previous school?
In terms of technology, I remember using a lot of PowerPoints. Actually, every lesson was with a PowerPoint. And I remember spending hours changing fonts, adding colours and animations and moving images a centimetre across a slide. And it was really such a waste of time. And now at Michaela, we have these renewable booklets, and actually we don't really use PowerPoints at all. I mean, there's just no fuss, there's no frills. I'm able to go really to more in-depth for the content, but also just drill the pupils and on what they've learnt so far, recapping on their previous knowledge from the previous topics or the term or the previous years. And it's so easy, just no frills, no fuss.
But why couldn't you just project up those recaps, project those explanations onto your PowerPoint?
Well, in fact, I remember the slides used to only have about 20 words on them. And now with these renewable booklets, they are reading, I know in science, they're reading about 1,000 words a lesson. So it's really building their scientific literacy and their spellings actually as well. And instead of just focusing on font types, I can really focus on my own subject knowledge, in fact, and also my own pedagogy. In one way, I'm spending my time differently. Instead of, as I said, moving things around and making these animations, I'm thinking, how can I maximize the pupil's understanding for really complex concepts? For example, teaching quantitative chemistry or explaining trends in a graph.
So you're not tempted to go back to PowerPoint anytime soon then?
No, but actually we do use PowerPoints. Very, very rarely. I might, for example, display a picture, a microscope slide of different specimens, or for example when we do a practical, a picture of how the practical should be set up with all the equipment. I mean, I know that when I go to assemblies, Miss Burbelsing has a PowerPoint of different pictures or photos. However, again, I wouldn't be putting up a paragraph of writing for the pupils to sit and read. These will all be in their booklets.
So do you use laptops or iPads?
No, everyone has a desktop in their room, and that's what we use day to day. We don't have any laptops. I know some of my colleagues, some of my friends, teacher friends from other schools, they are given laptops to take home because they are expected to do some work at home, but that is not the expectation here at Michaela. We don't have iPads. I think personally in the past it's been a bit of a gimmick for the sake of using it to make it entertaining for the pupils, to put fancy animations in and to make things fun, lots of games, but we don't have that at Michaela.
Are there any ways that specific subjects use technology that other subjects don't?
Actually, I went to see Mr. Taylor in his history class, and he was using something called co-constructing. So he was sat at the computer writing on a Word document an essay where he would ask pupils to add and contribute to the essay, and he would change it. And what's great is Mr. Taylor can touch type, so he was typing along and pupils were adding and editing together. Again, what's great about that is that he's watching the kids all times. His back isn't turned, and it's really clear, projected on Word, what the pupils were contributing. I know in English they are now using comparative judgment, and that was pioneered by Daisy Christodoulou on assessment. Oh, and of course, maths. Every night the pupils either have IXL or TT Rockstars, Timetable Rockstars, for them to complete. And that is so easy because, especially for maths teachers, it's marked online, so it really reduces the workload burden. And I know the kids really enjoy it, and they get instant feedback from that as well.
So there you have it, how we use technology at Michaela. We're not Luddites, but we are very much not a school that uses much flashy technology. I used to be a PowerPoint and interactive whiteboard hostage. My lesson plan was my PowerPoint. And I've got to say, since moving away from this, it has been a revelation, and I would thoroughly recommend it to all teachers. If you want one takeaway from this, I would say it's the power of the visualizer. This simple and relatively inexpensive piece of kit is at the heart of nearly all lessons at Michaela, and I thoroughly recommend using one. If you're interested in finding out more about our use of technology at Michaela, there'll be a link in the description to a talk given by our wonderful head of science, Olivia Dyer, on all the mistakes we made regarding technology when we first opened. That's it for today. Remember to subscribe and please leave some positive reviews. You can contact me on Twitter at @TKendallUK, and until next time, goodbye.